So today we're having the second part of my two-part series on problem solving with our kids. Now, lots of you have kids who have kind of the same problem comes up again and again. Maybe they're not listening, maybe they're not following your directions, maybe they're not abiding kind of by a limit that you've set, and it's the same thing over and over again. And those are the perfect ones, the ones that are predictable, that we kind of know are going to happen. Those are the ones that are really good for getting proactive with and working and kind of partnering with our kids to solve those problems. And so today, last week, we talked about kind of one of the 5 most common mistakes that parents make when they're trying to solve problems with their kids. We went over those and how to correct those. And then today, one of the biggest things I hear from parents when they're trying to solve problems with their kids is that their kids clam up. They aren't willing to talk about it. They aren't willing to kind of engage in the process. They say things like, well, I don't know, or they just kind of shrug, or sometimes they even say like, well, I don't have a problem with that, or I don't know what you're talking about, or they might even just get really mad and explode kind of right away when you bring it up. And so I wanted to make sure that I gave you guys some tips for actually getting your kids talking during these problem-solving sessions. Because the reality is, if we want to partner with our kids and we want to help them figure out, and we want to help ourselves figure out kind of what's getting in the way of them meeting our expectations and what's making it hard for them to engage in the process that is hard for them, what's making it hard for them to stick with our limits that we set, what makes it hard for them to follow our directions that we give them, we have to ask them. They have to talk to us. We have to get information out of them. We can't solve the problem on our own, because you guys have been trying already to solve it on your own by giving consequences, making a plan, even really gentle, peaceful attempts to solve a problem. If they're coming just from the parent without getting information from the kid, they're still top down, they're still uninformed, and they're still to be pretty ineffective. So we've got to partner with our kids. We got to get them talking and get them telling us kind of what's getting in their way. And so that's what I want to share with you today. So I have 5 kind of strategies, 5 tips that you can put into place to make your problem-solving conversations more effective with your kids. So the first one is to set the stage with them. You let them know that you want to talk about a problem that you've been having and that you've been learning how to communicate better so that you don't have fights over it anymore. And you also want to let them know and reassure them that they're not in trouble. A lot of the times, and especially if you've been trying to problem solve in the past and it hasn't gone well, kids feel like they're in trouble when they start having these conversations. They are worried that we're going to give them some top-down solution, some consequence, some punishment, and we also inadvertently and kind of sometimes very unconsciously use language that makes them feel ashamed or guilty or blamed for the problem or judged for the problem. And all of those things shut a kid down. And so if we've been trying kind of unsuccessfully to solve a problem, we're going to have to earn back their trust. And we can do that, make a big step towards that by starting the conversation off well with just we want to talk about this. We're kind of tired of having a fight over this, and it comes up, sometimes, it comes up kind of frequently, and we want to get ahead of it. We want to figure it out. We want to figure out what's going on for you. So reassure them that you're not in trouble. And you also want to reassure them that you're not going to make any decisions or try to solve this problem without their input and without their approval. So you might even say something like, I know in the past when we've tried to come up with solutions, I just kind of use my solution and we say that that's what we're going to do, and we don't wait to hear if that works for you. We're not going to do that this time. This time, we're not going to come up with any solution to the problem that you don't approve, that doesn't work for you. And you just spend some time reassuring them so that you can set that stage really well for them. The second one that I wanted to mention too, that the way you bring up a problem and we talked about this last week, but I want to drive it home. So this is the second tip. Be really clear with yourself on how to bring up these problems with your kids. So work ahead of time. Make a list of the unsolved problems that you have in your family, and unsolved problems are where your child is bumping up against expectations that they're not able to meet. And nobody looks good when we aren't able to meet expectations, not even grown-ups. So wording that kind of the introduction to solving the problem is the first thing you want to do to set yourself up and get kids talking. So if we come in there and we say, hey kiddo, you've been really having, a hard time putting away your shoes after you come in from playing. I trip all over them. It makes a big mess. There's mud all over the mudroom floor. And when I ask you to put them away, you just you melt down or you throw them at me. And that's not cool. So let's solve that problem and find out. That approaching it that way carries a lot of blame, a lot of shame, a lot of judgment, a lot of labels. And all of those things put people on the defensive. So all of the rules for conscious communication that you would use with your partner, I want you using them with your kids when you start these conversations with them. The rules are the same. Show up in the conversation with coming from a place of open-mindedness, from a place of compassion, and leave shame, blame, judgment, and labels out. And what you also want to leave out any behaviors too, any of the negative behaviors that you're trying not to see, leave them out. All of those bad behaviors are going to be captured by the word difficulty. And the kid knows. Your kids know what they're doing that is causing conflicts. They know what they're doing that they're not supposed to do. So we don't have to say it because they already know. So we're just going to use the word difficulty. And so you start the conversation off by saying, hey kiddo, I've noticed you've been having difficulty. Difficulty captures all the behaviors, you're leaving them out. And then you state your expectation that they're bumping up against, that they're not able to meet. Hey kiddo, I've noticed you've been having difficulty getting your shoes put in their cubby in the mudroom after you come in from playing outside. What's up? And you just kind of soft lob it out there in that way. Hey kiddo, I've noticed you've been having difficulty putting your Legos away when you're done playing with them. What's up? Hey kiddo, I noticed you've been having a hard time taking your plate over to the dishwasher after dinner. What's up? Just nonchalant, easygoing. You've already reassured them, honey, you're not in trouble, and we're not going to come up with any solution to this problem that you don't that you don't approve of, that you don't sign off on. But I've been noticing you've been having difficulty keeping your hands to yourself while you're playing video games with your sister. What's up? And you just go there. You just lob it out there. Now, the third tip that I have for you today is your mindset. So sometimes when we go into these scenarios, we are kind of already we have a theory about why it's hard. We have some ideas already in our own mind, and I want you to set those aside in these conversations. So the third tip is to come with a mindset to solving this problem that is based and grounded in compassion and curiosity, where you are taking kind of a beginner's mind view of the problem and of your child in those moments. So you are coming in with kind of just a completely open mind. You don't know what's going on because you likely don't. You maybe even if you have theories, those theories are based on your assumption from your adult perspective, and they likely have very little to do with what's really going on for the kid. And so if we go into it with just open-mindedness, curiosity, that is what is going to open our kids up. Okay, so the first 3 tips that I had for you today were kind of just starting well, coming in with the right mindset, using the right wording, and reassuring them that no one's in trouble. And the next 2 ones that I want to share with you today are on kind of what to do once you've lobbed out the setup for the question. So oftentimes, kids will say things like, I don't know, or there's nothing hard about that, or I don't think I have a problem. They'll kind of start there. And so again, you're keeping hold of your curiosity, and then you use drilling strategies. So Dr. Ross Greene, who wrote the book, The Explosive Child, Lost at School, and his latest book, Raising Human Beings, there's lots of drilling strategies to use. You can go to his website, livesinthebalance.com. Sorry, it's livesinthebalance.org, O-R-G at the end. And you can download a whole list of drilling strategies. But I'm going to share with you 2 that I think are the most effective and the ones that are easiest to kind of put into place right away. So the first one is reflective listening and clarifying statements. So that's kind of like a little, like, there's two things kind of put together. So reflective listening, many of you likely already know how to do reflective listening. It's just paraphrasing back what the kid said. And then the clarifying statement is when you get curious about how what the kid said relates to the unsolved problem. So like if they start with, I don't know, you go to a place of curiosity and say, you don't really know. It's a tough one, isn't it? Let's think about it. Like, what's making it hard to put your Legos away after you're done playing with them? What do you think? You just kind of hold space. You get comfortable with a little bit of silence. You've got your notebook there and your pen and paper there ready to write down what they have to say because and show them that what they say is important and that it matters to you. You just kind of wonder with them a little bit. And then maybe they'll give you something. Well, once I'm done playing with Legos, my hands, I'm really tired. It's hard work and it's hard to put them away afterwards. Okay. All right. So this is reflective listening. Okay, so what I hear you saying is that after you're done playing with Legos, you've worked really hard and your hands are tired. And so, and it's hard to put them away. Okay. So tell me a little bit more about like what your hands being tired, like how that makes putting the Legos away hard, because I don't quite understand. That's the clarifying statement. All right, so that tool in and of itself gets kids talking. It takes practice. I've been in a training program for almost like 8 months now, learning how to do that. It does take practice. So keep going, give it a shot, try it out. But I want you to notice that in that so often when in the kind of the peaceful, positive, respectful, conscious parenting world, we get told a lot to ask our kids about their feelings. And reflective listening is often talked about in the context of talking about feelings. I don't think it's very productive to talk about feelings when we're having problem-solving behaviors. If your kid brings it up and brings feelings into the matter, like all on their own, great, go there. Reflective listen and clarify use clarifying statements with their feelings. But if they're not bringing it up, sometimes, especially if we've been talking about feelings with our kids, they kind of, it's like their clue, like, mom's mining for information, digging for information. They can feel kind of grilled on that and it can kind of shut them down. So talking about feelings, and it really, most of the time, feelings don't give us very good information about how to solve the problem and about what's getting in the way of them meeting our expectations. So kind of leave the feelings piece of it out. And so then the last tip I wanted to give you, the last kind of way to get information out of kids is, so this is number 5, is finding out the who, the what, the where, and the when of the unsolved problem. And notice that I didn't say why. All right. So we have those good W questions that we learned about in school, in grade school. They still apply here. But often kids are asked why too. And I want you to leave why out. Why doesn't usually give us very good information, first of all. And why also gets kids to kind of regurgitate all of the things that they've heard about why they are the way that they are. You're just, I'm just stubborn, or I'm just dumb, or I'm just not good at math, or I'm just lazy. They start spouting off some of the theories that they've maybe heard from well-meaning adults or from teachers. And it doesn't bring them into really looking at and examining the what is getting in the way of them meeting the expectation. So who, what, where, when, and why questions kind of help break down the unsolved problem. So you might ask questions like, okay, so like, where are you usually when you're playing with Legos? Or, when is it that I'm usually asking you to put away the Legos? What were you doing right before I asked you to put away the Legos? What are you usually thinking when I ask you to put away the Legos? Who's near you when you're when you are supposed to be putting away the Legos. Always kind of tying it back to that expectation that they're having a hard time meeting, but using the who, the what, the where, and the when of using the strategy helps kids learn to break down a problem into its parts, to analyze what's going on in the midst of it, and it helps get them talking. So sometimes when we put out a big question like, you've been having difficulty getting your shoes on in the morning before we go out to play, like that is a really, like, it's big. And oftentimes when things are big and a question is big, kids get overwhelmed. And when kids get overwhelmed, they shut down and they say, I don't know. So learning to break a problem down into its parts is a skill. It's a skill that your kid can build. And it's a skill you can help them build by asking them the who, the what, the where, and the when of the unsolved problem. So those were the 5 tips that I wanted to share with you. If you're hopping on late and you want to watch the replay, it's going to be up here. Now, before I leave, and while I still have you here, I'm really excited to tell you that something that you guys have been waiting for a long time is finally happening. I have built and started a podcast, and I'm really excited about it. We're almost ready to launch. It's almost ready to go. We're going to be launching it next Monday. And on the launch day, there's going to be a really kind of exciting giveaway that I don't normally do. I haven't done a giveaway in my business, a giveaway on free coaching time, or a giveaway on kind of getting into a course free in a long time. Actually, I've never done a giveaway on a course. This is going to be something that's completely new because I'm so excited about this. And I really want you guys hyped up and ready to listen to this podcast. But the thing is that I need your help. I need your help sharing it. And that's one of the ways that you can enter to win one of these giveaways. But you'll get an extra chance to win if you're in my podcast launch team. So I put the link in the description of this video. If you click on that link and you sign up, you'll get a link to a Facebook group. And in that Facebook group, I'm going to be telling you all about how to go about getting your kind of extra chances to win in this giveaway. So I'd love to have you in my team. I'd love you also, if the folks who are in that team are got a preview of the podcast already. So they've already listened to the first 2 episodes. Those episodes are in there and available for you as kind of just like a secret thing that's just for the folks on my launch team. So I hope that you join me in there. I hope that you give me feedback on the first 2 episodes. And I hope that you stay really, watch my stories, watch my feed to find out how you can enter to win the really awesome giveaways that I'm getting ready for you. All right, that's it for today. Thanks for sticking with me. I hope that I see you soon. And, as always, take really good care of your families and each other. But most importantly, take good care of yourself, because you matter all on your own. Just because of you're human, but you also matter for your family, and your well-being is so important. All right, bye.